Good afternoon, y'all. And by y'all, I of course mean only people in East Coast or Central Time United States. For everyone else is either evening or noon. But regardless, whatever time you may be in, we got a race. It's race time. Welcome to the Super Metroid multi-category tournament race between Croakomire and Stump. This is week 5, I believe. The categories for this week were GT Classic, RBO, and any percent all bosses. Croakomire vetoed GT Classic, and Stump vetoed RBO, so we are going to be doing any percent all bosses. The race is just about to get started in SRL. So, as the name might suggest, any percent all bosses is, of course, any percent, but all bosses and mini-bosses must be defeated. In the traditional any percent route, you will see many mini-bosses being skipped as they aren't necessary to beat the game. However, with this category, you will need to defeat them, so Croakomire, Gold Torizo, and Spore Spawn will all be defeated at some point or other in the route. So while we've got some time as the race gets started in SRL and the runners go through series, let me look at how these runners are doing in the tournament. I believe this is the 1 and 3 bracket. It might be the 2 and 2 bracket. I'm not sure. Okay, it looks like this is the 1 and 3 bracket. So both runners probably not going to make it into the playoffs necessarily, but they can still end the tournament strong with a win or two. We also might just see the runners opt to do some memes. We've been seeing some maybe unique routes lately. And Croakomire, a big fan of the doing some fun stuff in races. So there is a good chance we see something happen between the runners. I don't want to say anything yet because I don't know, but I'm just saying that Croakomire, if anyone's gonna meme, it's gonna be him. So we might see that. And of course, we are just going through series. You have to do this in every category in the tournament, including bingo, even though that category does not end with the ship escaping Zebes. So the runners are just up on series. Croakomire with a really nice time entering the stairs room, 5602. Unfortunately, it doesn't have a great stairs room in question. We'll see what the final series times are. I didn't see Croakomire, so it looks like it was a mid 43, while Stump got a low 44. Pretty good times, all things considered. So as for the runners' PBs in all bosses, I believe Croakomire has a time on the leaderboard and Stump doesn't, but I could be wrong about that. And it looks like I am, because it seems that neither of them have a time posted on the leaderboard. But I do know that Croakomire's any percent time is a little bit better than Stump's. I believe Croakomire has a low 50, like like a 51 or something. Well, Stump has a much higher 50, like a 58 or 59. I don't know if he's improved that recently, but Croakomire is definitely favored in terms of movement. So we will see if that comes to fruition. As you see Croakomire doing a safer version of the pit room where you just do down grabs instead of jumping across the middle platforms. It is slower, but it is also a little bit easier if you're comfortable with down grabs, which are easier to get comfortable with than the precise jumps that you would normally see in the pit room, the old Mother Rain room. But it is slower, so we don't see it used particularly often. Regardless, if you can get that every time and you can't get the jumps across Old Mother Brain Room every time, it is theoretically faster on average. And that is what this speedrunning this game all comes down to. Even at the top level, you want to go with the strats that give you the highest average time through the room. So while there might be more technically better strats that you could go for if they are just a little bit too silly to pull off in a real-time run, you will not see even the top runners go for them. Obviously, there's a bit more nuance than that, but that is a lot of what it all comes down to. As both runners entering the climb. This is actually a good example. There's two methods of climbing up this room. There's either what you're seeing both of the runners do now, the wall jump up the right side, or there's the ledge grab climb up the middle of the climb. And the ledge grab climb is actually used by Behemoth, who is technically tied for the world record, although his time is actually a couple tenths of a second slower. But he actually uses the ledge grab climb, despite it actually being a few frames slower than the wall jump climb. It's so insignificant that it doesn't really change much, and it's more consistent for him, as well as the other runners that choose to use it. Some runners such as Sephi, or Antinomy, as he goes by now, and Kip, who's another one of the top runners in this tournament, both use that ledge grab climb, and their times are still very good. I believe Antinomy has a 44 old route, while Kip has a barely 42 new route, so both very good runners, of course. And now that Croakomire and Stump have finished off the Bomb to Rizzo fights, we might get to see some route divergence. There is still a few different routes that are being used in any percent all bosses, due to the category not being as popular and therefore not as optimized. Is Stump having a little bit of trouble getting up the Alcatraz? We'll see if he can get that. There he goes. But anyways, to that point, you see Croakomire damaging himself through the green pirates here. Generally, the most optimal route is to do Fantoon first and then do a hybrid route, which I'll explain that more if we see Stump do it. But if you want to do Fantoon first, you do not want to be taking damage from these pirates. And you see Stump kind of doing a half and half strat, missiling through the first pirates and then taking damage through the last ones. What that suggests to me is that both runners are going to be going down first, or they're going to be doing Spore Spawn first, neither of which is technically the most optimal way to do this category, but we aren't really sure what exactly the most optimal route is. As I believe the world record held by Zost, because of course Zost holds the world record. Oh, Stump. Forgetting about the early supers. But the world record by Zost is actually, I believe it does Spore Spawn first, and then does a basically just new route through the game. Well, the most optimal route that we think is doing that Fantoon first, doing sort of a hybrid route, going to Kraid Dragon Ridley, or Dragon Kraid Ridley, whichever the runner so chooses, and then doing Spore Spawn last. And it looks like Croakomire is going to be doing that world record route, going to Spore Spawn first. Well, we aren't sure what Stump's going to be doing, but he might be doing the hybrid route, but with Kraid first. So where he basically just does old route, and then includes the bosses that he needs to kill at the end, the Croakomire, Gold Torizo, and Spore Spawn. At least that's what I would expect the runners to do. Would Zosti have world record if he did the wall jump climb? Or Behemoth? I guess. Maybe. Something you'll have to bring up. I believe he's streaming something. I don't know what game he's streaming anymore. I know I don't think he's interested in coming back to this game, but if you want, you can go flame him in Twitch chat whenever he's live again about how he should have used the wall jump climb instead of the ledge grab climb. And so we are seeing some route divergence, as I mentioned. Croakomire going to do that Spore Spawn first, whereas Stump, we'll see if he goes up or down here. Looks like he's going down, so he's going to be doing the more old route focused route, just doing the bosses in standard order and adding a few bosses at the end. I would say this is the safest route of all of the possibilities. It is just old route with a few detours, basically, on the way to Ridley with the Croakomire and Gold Torizo fights, and one at the end of the game with the Spore Spawn fight. So if you're more comfortable with old route, this is probably the way to go. And that is what we see Stump doing. I believe Croakomire, when he ran all bosses in this tournament earlier, I believe he did the Spore Spawn first and then went to Kraid. So that might be the route he's doing. We will see what he decides to do at the end of this early Brinstar segment once he gets to Red Tower, if he decides to go up or down. But I believe he'll actually be going down. And so, because of that Spore Spawn, Stump is the first one to make it to Kraid. So we'll see if he can get the quick kill on this guy. As Croakomire mock-walling through the door, that signifies that he is going to be heading down. And he does. Meanwhile, Stump, a really nice 4 super missile quick kill on Kraid. Not gonna see him progress to his second phase of the fight. And he's got his Varia suit. So, for a while, you'll see both of the runners running basically old route. You'll see Stump do his Upper Norfolk cleanup, going to Fantoon, and then Dragon. And then after Dragon is when you'll see some route divergence from just standard any percent. So, for a while, we just have an any percent race where Stump has about a minute on Croakomire, maybe closer to a minute and a half, because Croakomire decided to do Spore Spawn early. So, if that's the case, the runners won't be truly synced up until around G4, basically, because Stump and Croakomire will both be taking different paths to G4 at the end of the game, because Stump still needs to fight Spore Spawn. So if you wanted to see a race where there was one runner that was clearly ahead, this might not be that, depending on how close the runners are, because the route is diverged and will not undiverge. That's not a word, but we'll go with it until the very end of the game. Croakomire also getting a nice Kraid quick kill, so neither runner losing time on the other for that. We saw Stump pick up the Kraid E-Tank. I wonder if we'll see Croakomire pick up another E-Tank. You only need 3, and generally the 3 you see in Old Route are the High Jump E-Tank, the Terminator E-Tank, and the E-Tank after Botwoon. And technically, in most Old Route runs, you'll see runners pick up that safety E-Tank at Kraid. But I think in this category, if you're comfortable with doing Meridia and Rex Ship with one less tank, but you still want the safety tank, it's probably better to pick up the one behind Croakomire, actually. I do wonder if we're going to see that tank being picked up just for the runners' health to increase to 5 E-Tanks, but it looks like both runners are picking up that Kraid E-Tank. It's a great safety. Gives you an extra 100 HP for basically the entire run. So not surprising that we see most people using it. That's an interesting deboost out of Kraid's Lair. For Croakomire, I don't think it saves much time, but it was neat. So I'll give him credit for that. Yeah, the word I was looking for earlier is converge, but undiverge is funnier. Now I'm interested to see what Croakomire is doing. He's going to get the Ice Beam early. I wonder why he is doing that. I don't believe we saw Stump get that Ice Beam. We saw him go down to get High Jump, and now he's doing a standard Old Route progression of getting the Speed Booster and Wave Beam. Stump actually had to be careful not to miss the 1 or 2 missiles. He would have had to pick up the missiles in the ceiling above Speed Booster, which would have wasted a little bit of time. Luckily, he doesn't need to. But anyways, Croakomire picking up that Ice Beam early. Not sure why yet. We might be seeing some shenanigans, as they say. Like I mentioned earlier, this race doesn't really mean much in terms of playoff standings. Both runners are, I believe, mathematically eliminated. I don't think anyone below 4 and 2 can make it into the playoffs, and both runners are 1 and 3. So they might be having, and by they, of course, mean Croakomire, might be having some fun with it. You might see some silly route, like potentially something like Gravityless with that early Ice Beam. I don't really know. I'm just speculating. We'll have to see what Croakomire decides to do. Stump's ammo isn't looking great. It looks like he didn't get very much ammo from the farm after Speed Booster, and I guess he just gave up on it. So he is not looking too hot in the Super Missile department. We'll see if he does some extra farming somewhere. There's a nice little farming spot on your way out of Norfair. The room before Frog Speedway, if you go down, there's a nice little farming area. We might even see Stump just do Croakomire now. We'll see what he decides to do. I've seen some runners opt to do Croakomire now just to get it out of the way, especially runners who don't have as much experience with the category, and they don't want to forget anything. Looks like Stump's just going, though, even with his suboptimal super count. Hopefully he doesn't run out on his way to Rex Ship. That would be tragic. So, hopefully he notices. Croakomire attempting to use that Ice Beam to freeze a enemy in order to get this wall jump easier. This wall jump is actually a bit tricky. So you can actually wall jump a lot lower on walls than it looks like. And so what Croakomire was trying to do is wall jump at the very edge like that in order to make it all the way up. And you see, he gets it there. Unfortunately, he lost a lot of time in Bubble Mountain. And we see Stump also picking up the Ice Beam early. Picking up the Ice Beam now makes a lot more sense, though, since it is a traditional safety for a lot of newer runners in Old Route. You'll see them pick up the Ice Beam in order to get up Red Tower easier. And also, just having the ice beam is nice. See Stump get this ice escape. I think he got it. Not quite, just too slow. He's actually gonna bomb jump up to the bomb platform. There's a couple different methods you can use to hit this bomb platform. You can either just jump and morph in midair, but that's a little bit tight, especially if you're a newer runner and aren't as comfortable with that. You can do what Stump did, a little double bomb jump, or you can actually, if you have charge beam, you can charge up a shot and then morph and hold down. So when you morph, when you're holding a charge shot, it will do a bomb spread, and if you continue holding the down arrow on the D-pad, it will actually charge up the bomb spread so the bombs bounce wider. So what you can do is just hold charge, morph and hold down, and eventually the bomb spread will release at max velocity, I guess, and the bomb that goes straight up will hit the block above you. So if you aren't comfortable with the mid-air morph, that is probably the best way to do it, in my personal opinion. Regardless, Croakomire has picked up his wave beam. I want to pay a little bit closer attention to him because he is definitely the memer of the two. Which isn't to say Stump can't surprise us, but you know. Stump actually taking that refill at the bottom of Red Tower, refilling his health. I normally wouldn't have a problem with that, but his super missile count is still really low. He needs at least 4 in order to do wreck ship comfortably. 2 for the super doors, 1 for the eye door, and 1 for Fantoon. Having a little bit of trouble getting up Red Tower. I imagine he's just going to use the ice beam at some point. There he goes. And a nice jump. And we see Croakomire going to the Croc. So the benefit of doing this late instead of doing this early is that you have the plasma beam so that Croakomire will die in 1 shot. However, without the plasma beam, each charge shot will cause Croakomire to take 2 steps back, so the fight is a bit longer. But as I mentioned before, it is some runners who don't run the category opt to do this now just to get it out of the way. And in Croakomire's case, since he might be doing some shenanigans, it would allow him to get the grapple beam if he so desires, which is not necessary, but it makes Suitless Meridia a lot easier. It also makes a couple strats possible. We'll see what Croakomire decides to do, though. Like I said, I'm just speculating. Looks like Croakomire going for a spike suit on these spikes here. Doesn't look like he's gonna get it. That's right. He did pick up that Croc E-Tank that I was talking about. I think it is technically the fastest E-Tank to pick up in this category if you're picking up a safety, since it only costs the fanfare as opposed to extra door transitions that the Ridley and Kraid E-Tanks would cost. Looks like Croakomire isn't going to be picking up Grapple Beam. He's just going to kill Croc and get out. We'll see how he decides to get across to this. Oh my gosh, Croakomire, what are you doing? Okay, I thought he was... Oh, he is doing this. So what he's going to do is he's going to freeze this guy in midair and then jump from the platforms below to this guy and then jump from there to the ledge. Nice little strat there from Croakomire. Some rando tech, I guess. But even in randomizer, you don't see that strat used very often. Regardless, pretty cool strat. He does pick up the extra missile pack just to show off, I guess. Meanwhile, Stump has begun his Fantoon endeavor. He isn't going to be using X Factors since he still has Ice and Wave equipped, so it looks like he's just going to be using charge shots into a mini Doppler, or maybe just charge shots. I don't know exactly how much damage this charge combo does. I believe it's 250, but I don't think that's right. I think it's 200 actually, I'm not sure. Maybe somebody in chat can help me. But Fantoon has 2500 health, so he will just be doing a slow but safe Fantoon fight with the charge shots, and then finish off the fight with a super missile, I imagine. You see Croakomire using full use of that ice beam to get up Red Tower very quickly and very easily. Stump struggled with it a little bit. Looked like he tried to go for the fancier strat, but wasn't able to get it immediately, so he had to use the ice beam after all. Nice double super drop, by the way. Stump actually needs to be really careful. His health is looking very low. But I think Fantoon's almost dead. I think he should just need a super missile, right? Looks like Stump's just going to finish the fight off with charge shots, though, which is a little bit risky considering how low his health is. Gets a health drop there, though, so that gives him an extra hit. Each hit from Fantoon will do 20 damage to Stump. Oh, and Fantoon has been defeated. Well done by Stump. And now, hopefully he gets good health drops. Looks like he gets a decent amount, and also has full ammo, so we won't need to worry about that. As he will be heading through the wrecked ship to collect his gravity suit. And he'll also be picking up this super missile right here, since it's right just through the door. His health is a little bit low. We'll see what he decides to do to get through the attic. Hopefully he uses a safer strat, but we will see. Looks like he's going to use the power bomb to clear out these early enemies. Takes a hit, but does clear them all, I believe. I'm surprised that guy didn't take a double hit from the power bomb. You need the power bomb to hit all of the key hunters twice in order to kill them. And normally if you do the strat, it will hit them all twice, but it looks like Stump didn't quite get it right, and so he had to finish off that last key hunter with some shots. Looks like Croakomire is going to be using X-Factor strats on Fantoon, and that was a nice first X-Factor. It looked like all 4 particles connected. So he just needs to finish the fight off with a couple of missiles. I believe he only needs 4 missiles and a super missile. And it looks like he didn't connect one of the missiles. Looks like he shot 3 missiles and a super missile at the end, and that was not enough to finish off Fantoon. Luckily, he has the charge beam, so he can just pseudo-screw his way through this little enrage cycle. If he didn't have screw attack, he'd be basically constantly taking damage from this phase, and that if he wasn't able to shoot all the particles while they were spawning, that would be enough to kill him. But, of course, Fantoon was only 1 missile from death. So, not too bad of a finish to the fight. Meanwhile, you might not have noticed it, but Stump got a really nice spark across the bowling area and is now about to pick up his gravity suit. That will, of course, allow him to go through Meridia much easier. He will not have to deal with water physics. Hopefully Croakomire does the same, but we will see. And so Stump is on his way to Meridia, while Croakomire on his way up to the gravity suit. You see him getting that powerbomb strat at the beginning of the room much cleaner, and has the health to do the spark across the attic, so he gained a lot of time on Stump in that room. Unfortunately, Stump didn't have enough health to do the spark and didn't quite have the momentum entering the room to do the powerbomb strat optimally. But of course, that's all in the past. Stump is still holding on to a nice lead, and I think he's still in the lead even with Croakomire doing Spore Spawn and Croakomire early. Croakomire also getting a nice bowling spark. Very well done from both runners getting that strat. It's a pretty tight short charge. And now Stump is beginning his trek through Meridia. Doesn't quite get that short charge there. He'll have to go for it again. His health is a little bit low, actually. Hopefully he'll be okay. Only having 64 energy on his way to Batoon is a little bit scary. Looks like he's going to farm these crabs to try to get some more health drops. And he does get health drops from both of those crabs. So 104 energy is a lot more comfortable. I do wonder if he's going to be turning off Ice Beam or if he's going to continue just using charge shots. Generally, Botwoon and Dragon are also fought using those X Factors, but it doesn't look like Stump is going to use them. He's having some trouble getting the short charge. Generally, if you miss the short charge, it can be a lot more comfortable just to run all the way back, do the vanilla strat of just running the whole way across. And so Stump, beginning his Batoon fight, he's missed a lot of these super missiles already though. This might be a slow fight for him. It's also fairly dangerous as well. While Batoon isn't low health, he will do these cycles where he spits acid. And Stump can only take so many more hits. Only about 2, I believe. Meanwhile, Croakomire, I wasn't going to talk about it, but it looks like he's getting the X-ray scope. Wonder what he's planning on using that for. Guess we'll find out eventually. As he attempts to do a bomb jump. With Speed Booster and High Jump, you can actually just do a jump all the way up to the ledge. It looks like Croakomire either doesn't know about that or just doesn't want to do it. I would believe either one, to be honest. But he's got that X-ray scope, for better or for worse. And Stump has finished off Botwoon. So that is done. Gonna be picking up that E-Tank behind Batoon. Really nice item there. See it picked up in pretty much every category due to how nice it is as a refill before Dragon and how in the way it is. Now Stump gonna refill his ammo in this little pit here. Are those enemies called Zoas, I believe? Zoas are either those enemies or the ones in Norfair, the farming bugs. I don't know. Regardless, he farms the little farming bugs to get a few more supers back. And now he is on his way to Dragon. Croakomire doing some fun platforming there. Running into the fish. Gonna get that Shine Spark up here. A lot quicker than Stump did. Meanwhile, Stump gonna be going for some Shine Sparks on Dragon. Not gonna be going for the X Factor to match, but it looks like he sparks a little bit too early and doesn't manage to hit Dragon at all. Not the opening you want to see. And then in that second spark, he sparks through the goo actually, so Dragon leaves before the spark can really connect. That one was a lot better though. Dragon looking mighty dead for Stump. He's gonna try to finish off the fight with ammo. Doesn't quite have enough, so looks like he's actually just committed to finishing off the fight with ammo, right? No, he's gonna go for another short charge. And he gets it. And Dragon is down. Meanwhile, at the same time, Croakomire has taken down Botwoon. Had a much more comfortable fight with more super missiles. Doesn't look like... I don't think he used the X Factor either, but regardless. Must have turned Ice Beam back on. Regardless, with 5 E-Tanks in tow now, he attempts the full halfie, but unfortunately doesn't quite get the jump. So he is just gonna jump across Coliseum, same as Stump. We might see a bit of a high five here as Stump is gonna spark across the Coliseum while Croakomire is jumping towards Dragon. Stump kind of flies over Croakomire. I don't know if you call that a high five, but they were in the same room. If they were lucky, they might have caught a glimpse of the other runner as they passed each other. Regardless, Croakomire is now fighting Dragon. He doesn't have, or he still has Ice equipped, so he can't go for X Factors either, but that first spark is going to connect on Dragon, so he is off to a better start than Stump was. We'll see if he can finish off the fight. Ooh, not a good short charge there. Interestingly, he's not even going to use ammo on Dragon. Just going to be committed to doing damage with sparks for now. Meanwhile, Stump going over to get that plasma beam. His health is a little bit low. I imagine he'll take the refill going down to... Actually, he'll probably just pick up the Croakomire E-Tank. That's even better refill, because it also gives you more health. But, of course, a reminder that he still needs to fight Croakomire and Spore Spawn, while Croakomire does not. So, Croakomire might actually be slightly in the lead, although this Dragon fight has been pretty rough for him. He's actually getting pretty low. And so is Dragon, so you might want to just opt to finishing off the fight with ammo. As he sparks into the ceiling there. He's just gonna finish off the fight with ammo. He's too low. And Dragon is down. Everything's fine. Nothing to worry about. As Croakomire are going to be picking up this space jump, while Stump is making his way out of Meridia. Going to be heading down to Croakomire and then from there to Lower Norfair. Like I said, we'll see if Stump decides to pick up that Croc E-Tank or opts to take the Nutella refill right before Lower Norfair, or if he just opts to go with the health he has. All are, of course, valid options. We'll see what he decides to do. I do wonder what Croakomire is going to be using this X-ray for. I would say he's going to G-mode into Lower Norfair, but he needs a reserve tank for that, so I'm not sure. I assume Croakomire's thought his route out by now. Stump looks like he might have jumped too early and got hit on the gate, so he had to actually leave the room and come back. Maybe he just accidentally let go of run. Not sure exactly what happened. I was watching Croakomire. But regardless, he's going down to Croc now. And we're about to see the power of the plasma beam. You remember Croakomire needing several shots to kill Croakomire, whereas here, Stump only needs one. And Croakomire will be moonwalking for the rest of his life. It won't be very long because there's a bridge like 10 feet behind him, and he is too fat for the bridge. It's a rough existence, really. I don't know why Mother Brain decided to put Croakomire in a room where he could only go in one direction. If he went in the other direction, he simply died. And in the other direction was just spikes. So really, I think Croakomire might be in some kind of prison if you think about it. Stump also going for the spike suit, but unfortunately just spikes himself. So Croakomire still needs to complete Ridley and GT. And Shaq Tool, apparently, because that's where he's headed right now. Also, he didn't pick up Plasma, apparently. Or maybe he turned it off. I'm not sure. I thought he was going up to Plasma. Am I going crazy? I don't know. Oh, I think he turned off Plasma in order to get this Ice Clip easier. So what he's going to be doing... I'm just going to play this off. This is completely normal. Nothing unusual going on here. And that's why I picked up the X-Ray, actually. Makes the Ice Clip much easier. He's going to be freezing the Puyo in midair, and then using the X-Ray to force himself into a standing position so he can clip through the blocks and enter Shaq Tool. He's going to kill Shaq Tool, of course. And that's all he has to do. The Shaq Tool mini-boss is down. Oh, Croaky. Of course, that isn't a required mini-boss. We decided to exempt it because Shaq Tool is simply too powerful for most to even dare summon him. Regardless, Stump is actually going to be doing the vanilla strat for making it to Gold Torizo. What you'll see most runners do in PB attempts, at least, is do the green gate glitch in order to access Gold Torizo from the back. But with only one super missile, Stump only has one try at it. So he's just going to do the normal strat of lowering the statue. The statue is only able to be lowered if you have space jump. If not, you actually have to do the green gate glitch. And so Stump is going to be fighting his Gold Torizo fights. Luckily with Plasma Beam, this is another very easy fight. There's a safe spot on Gold Torizo's front foot where you can just crouch and fire upward charge shots, which will actually double hit Gold Torizo, usually, unless he's moving down. So this fight is over in a matter of seconds, and as long as you get in this position quickly, there's basically no risk of dying. And so Stump going to be picking up his Screw Attack. I believe it is actually faster to pick up screw attack in this category, even though it's technically not necessary, just because of the... Oh, that's not where you wanted to spark. But just because of the safety in lower Norfair and the strats you can do because of the immunity from screw attacking, I think actually save longer than the item fanfare loses. Not totally sure though. Either way, it's generally recommended to pick it up in an all bosses run since you are running right by it anyways, and the only reason that it's not picked up in any percent is because you don't go into that area. And I would have to guess this is just Croakomire going rogue to kill Shack Tool. Stump, of course, not doing it. He's trying to win. Gotta end the tournament strong, Stump says. Of course, Croakomire was never taking it seriously to begin with. He's been memeing this whole time, and more power to him, of course. He's having a grand old time. Looks like he's going to be going for the gate glitch to get down to GT. We'll see if we can get it first try. Nope. Nope. There it is, first try for Croakomire as he power bombs the air in celebration. Stump, meanwhile, on his way to Ridley. Gonna be taking out that first metal pirate with a short charge, taking out the second one with a plasma shot. By shooting the plasma shot in the same direction that the metal pirate is running, it will usually hit twice. Croakomire actually going to be X-raying GT. Unfortunately, GT's iframes don't work like other enemies' iframes, so the X-ray actually will not reset his iframes. So, or at least not as intuitively as the other bosses. So this is actually slower than just shooting charge shots. But Croakomire, like I said, he's having a grand old time. I'm not going to take that away from him. He also picked up the screw attack before entering the fight. I don't know if it's faster to do that or pick it up on the way out. I think it's faster on the way out. Doesn't really matter though, it doesn't change much. It's also technically a few frames faster to get out of that room without using a Shine Spark, because the Shine Spark crash animation is longer than you expect it to be if you were playing the game casually. But I digress. It's a fairly obscure bit of speed tech, and Shine Sparking really only loses a few frames. Oh, it also messes up the door transition, I'm being told. So it actually saves more time than you would expect, even if you know the bonk animation is long from Shine Sparks, because of the door transition. Anyways, we're going to be seeing a bit of high five here. Stump has finished off his Ridley. Looks like he didn't pick up the E-Tank, which, not too surprised. He's got 5, and he should be fine. We're going to see a bit of a Morph Ball high five here as they're both entering and exiting Wasteland simultaneously. Gonna go ahead and say that Stump is probably definitively ahead here. I'm kind of upset with Croakomire that he went through all the trouble of getting X-ray and isn't even gonna be X-raying these metal pirates. But I can't make the runners do anything. I am just the person who yells at them. He also tried to do the spring ball strat of getting through the pre-Ridley rooms, but doesn't actually have spring ball, so not sure what his plan was there, but I'm sure it would have been funny. And yeah, you see how nice the screw attack is. There, Stump just gets to the Three Musketeers room, no problem, just screw attacking through all the enemies there. You may have noticed it earlier too, especially the Key Hunter shaft. Just not needing to worry about taking damage from the Key Hunters is so nice that there's basically no reason not to pick up screw attack. And I do believe that Stump is pretty definitively in the lead by now. Croakomire needs to be careful. He's chilling in the acid. Not sure what he's doing there. Looks like he's okay though, as long as Ridley picks him up out of this pogo. Oh no. Oh no. So what happened there is Ridley's tail RNG is not, it's a separate entity from his RNG. So when Ridley went to pick him up, his tail actually hit Croakomire out of the way. And so Croakomire has forfeit from the race with the comment, "Standing in the acid is not good for your health." And now he's just going to be showing off for a bit, while Stump is finishing off the race. Of course, he still needs to fight Spore Spawn. Generally, in any percent, you'll see runners go up to the top of Red Tower through Meridia. But Stump is going to be heading over to Spore Spawn in order to finish him off. Spore Spawn will die in one hit using the Plasma Beam because any charge shot does double damage to Spore Spawn. So the fully decked out charge beam will do 1800 damage to him, and he only has 960 health. So he will be one shot by Plasma Beam. So that is why, one of the reasons why it's a little bit faster to do Spore Spawn late instead of early, because it's only a 1-round fight instead of a max 2-round fight, or minimum 2-round fight with the early Spore Spawn strats. And I believe we saw Croakomire have a 4 or 5-round fight, so Stump gonna save a lot of time there. But of course, the movement in order to make it to Spore Spawn is a little bit weird, especially if you're not used to it. And Croakomire with a heartfelt message, "At least Shaq Tool is dead." But that's not even true. He's living in an alternate universe where he just died, and now Shaq Tool is also alive. So, unfortunately, Croakomire has failed his one mission he set out to do. It's truly a tragic day. So Stump setting up for this plasma shot onto Spore Spawn. Doesn't quite hit it. Oh no. It's actually fairly tricky because your beam is so wide. So Stump had trouble lining himself up right at the edge of Spore Spawn's mouth. So he is actually going to have a 2-round fight. Shouldn't be a problem. There he goes. Using that screw attack can let you get into Spore Spawn's box. You actually don't need to wait for the drops to appear. Unlike most bosses, the death flag is actually set once Spore Spawn's health reaches 0. So you can actually leave the arena once you shoot Spore Spawn. And what you'll see the most optimized runs do is just shoot the door open before delivering the final shot, and then after shooting the final shot, just falling through the door, or falling through the open door, I should say. I wonder what Croakomire is doing now. I shouldn't be focused on it because we are more focused on Stump, who is on his way to G4. But I do wonder what Croakomire is up to today. as Stump is almost G4. Just needs to go through the spooky hallway right here. And so Stump having a decent pace, all things considered. All bosses is about 5 minutes slower than any percent. Obviously, that's not an exact number, but from what we've seen, it's about that much. And so I believe Stump's PB is a mid 58 in any percent, so he's running less than 5 minutes behind his any percent PB, if that's true. That might not be true, though. I don't actually know. Let me double check. Seems I underestimated Stump a little bit. His any percent PB is actually a 55, not a 58. So he's running about a 101, 102 pace, so 6 or 7 minutes behind his any percent PB, which is about expected, to be honest. Obviously, you aren't going to play as well as your PB in a race. Apologize for the yelling in the background. So being 5 minutes behind your 90% PB, but plus a couple minutes due to a little bit worse execution because of race setting. Not too surprising, Stump having a pretty nice race overall. Obviously, it's a shame that Croakomire wasn't able to finish. Unfortunately, he was trolled by Ridley there at the end. Speaking of trolled, Stump is low on supers here. Luckily, he's going to get the 3 he needs at the end. It seems he only has 15 missiles. I don't know how that happened. I thought he would have picked up some extra, but I guess not. Regardless, I imagine since he should know that Croakomire is no longer alive, I imagine he'll take a safe with more Mother Brain. As it looks like he's not going for the baby skip, he's just damaging himself down on the enemy that the baby Metroid destroyed. Of course, with the screw attack, once you do a spin jump, your iframes will be reset, so you can take damage very quickly. It's also possible to do that with a pseudo screw, but it's a little bit more difficult. I'm not totally sure if Stump was using the pseudo screw or just the screw attack in order to do it, but either way, he takes damage from that enemy very quickly, and so the baby cutscene is very short. Looks like Stump's actually going to refill his missiles after shooting the first or 2 Mother Brain as well, so he's going to have 1 super worth of leeway. He accidentally shoots a missile there. Looks like Croakomire is trying to die to Ridley, actually. Or maybe kill Ridley, one of the 2. Well, he has successfully killed Serious Ridley. Congrats to him. By killed, I of course mean got his HP to 0, so he just walks away. And Stump gonna do what I said earlier, gonna take that safety save just in case. I'm not sure what Croakomire is doing, actually. He's like grinding Series, but also killing Series Ridley in the process. Well, whatever. I don't talk to Shack Tool killers anyways. Ooh, Stump actually missing a super. Luckily, if he hits every missile, he's fine, which he does. And even if he didn't, he had that safety save just 30 seconds ago, so he would have been okay. And so, just 20 shots stand between Stump and the basically automatic end of the game. Not automatic as in movement, but automatic as in you aren't really at risk of taking a death, especially with extra E-tanks. As long as he sets his health below 400 for the rainbow beam, it will do 300, and then Mother Brain will attempt to damage him down in order to get him below 100 before beginning the cutscene. So if his health is above that total, then Mother Brain will actually shoot some extra attacks into you in order to get you below 100, and those can actually kill you if you're unlucky. Luckily, Stump just quickly damages himself down to 399, and so the cutscene is progressing. Seems that maybe Croakomire is in fact atoning for his sins, as he didn't actually kill Series Ridley in his all bosses run. So that is what he is currently doing. Looks like he's done doing that though. Now he's just doing Series RTA, I guess. Grinding for that 6 series escape time. Maybe he'll get it live before Stump finishes his run, as Stump is, of course, on to the Mother Brain killing the baby Metroid cutscene. And you see Stump actually standing closer to Mother Brain 3's head than you normally see runners do. They usually align themselves with that rightmost vertical pipe, whereas Stump was right next to her head. But regardless, he was shooting close to the head in order to reduce lag, as each hyperparticle, or each hyper beam shot, I should say, is a fully charged shot minus ice beam, so having more than one on the screen can cause a lot of lag. And that's why Stump was doing what he did, getting close to Mother Brain and shooting those shots, so they got off screen quicker when they hit Mother Brain. .250 flat entering the Leodox room. Nice timer there. As we do have simultaneous escapes here, but it's a little bit less impressive than its sound. Really nice behemoth spark there from Stump, though. I forget if it was actually Behemoth that came up with that. I want to say it was JD. Either the ledge grab climb or that spark was helped by Just Defend. Very good runner. I don't know if he's still active. I've talked to him a few times. He's a cool guy. Regardless, Stump has finished in first place with an official time of 1:01:42. GG to Stump. We'll see if we can get either of the runners in for an interview. Looks like Stump will. I don't know if Croakomire will. I don't think so, since it looks like he's just moved on to his personal endeavor. Which, of course, there's nothing wrong with that. Stump will be joining us shortly. So for the time being, we can talk about the standings. Croakomire unfortunately falls to 1-4, I believe, while Stump climbs up to 2-3. Of course, both are out of playoff contention, most likely. I think there might be some freak scenario where 3-3 can make it, but I don't actually know. I don't think so. Regardless, Stump looking to finish off the tournament strong. It's a nice 3-3. We'll see if he can get it. Croakomire finishing strong in other ways. Just kind of having fun. Can't really blame him. This is, of course, a for-fun tournament. And although the top runners are... There is a prize pool for the top runners, but if you aren't a top runner, it is maybe a better idea to just have fun with the tournament, see what you can do. And for Croakomire, that means kill Shack Tool, I guess. And Stump is just about to join us. For now, we get to have a moment of peace. Alright, that's enough. That's enough quiet. Gotta shout out our sponsors, of course. Megacat Studios and Balls Garant. I mentioned before that the top 8 runners, I believe, will be gaining a small prize for their tournament placing, and that prize has been lovingly provided by our 2 sponsors there. So big shout outs to them. Both cool companies. If you're looking for a caffeinated energy drink, then you can try out your balls. That's all the endorsement I'm ever going to get. After hearing that, every company ever has decided I'm not allowed to endorse them. Honestly, that might be for the better. Croakomire actually trying the taco tank here. Gonna try for that TAS wall jump. Or TAS for everyone not named Shiny Zenny at least. Am I gonna have to drag Stump up here? Come on. Come on, Stumpy. Don't do this to me. And here he is, the winner of today's race. Stump, how you feeling about that one?
I like this category. I wish what happened to Croakomire didn't happen.
Yeah, it was really a shame. He got kind of trolled by Ridley at the end there. But as for your run, how are you feeling about how you performed today?
I feel good about it.
Well, that's always good. Anything in particular you want to highlight that you did really well? You can say no. It's all right.
I can't really think of anything.
Well, that's all right. So I believe you are moving on to 2 and 3 in the tournament after this. So I guess what are your goals for the rest of the tournaments? Since I don't know if you can make playoffs anymore. Just what are you aiming to do entering the last week of regulation?
Well, hopefully I can. Hopefully I can win next week too.
Yeah, that is the goal. Just win as much as we can. So, any closing remarks before we end off the stream today?
It's been good to do all these different categories.
Well, that's great to hear. And if you want to see more of the excellent categories in this tournament, then we've got plenty of races coming up soon on SpeedGaming. At 5 p.m., we've got Fruit Bat Salad versus Enmit. 6 p.m., we have Balthazar versus J-Chalk. And then the potentially feature match of the week, Sloaters 27 versus Zost at 7:30, followed by a couple more races. At 8, we have Polar Bear Bunny versus Cashmod, and at 11, we have the other fancy race, Shiny Zenny versus a Real Cutie. So the Sloaters versus Zost and Zenny versus Cutie matches, I believe, are the 4 undefeated runners in the tournament. So those are both coming up later tonight, so you do not want to miss them. But that is all for us for now. On behalf of the entire SpeedGaming staff, thank you for watching, and we'll see you later.